Every time we look in the mirror, we see the visible signs of passing time. Maybe it's a new wrinkle, a gray hair, or a slight change in how we stand. But what if that clock didn't have to tick in only one direction? Right now, beneath the surface, invisible biological clocks are ticking away in every single one of our cells, dictating exactly how we age on a microscopic level. So it begs the question, can we stop the clock, or is getting older just entirely inevitable?
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a really incredible journey from the macroscopic right down to the microscopic to unpack the actual science of aging. I'm super excited to guide you through this research, and we're going to transform all that complex biology into clear, actionable insights you can use. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with, what is aging? Then, why do our cells age? Next, can we slow aging today? Followed by, can we reverse aging? Then we'll cover the societal and ethical challenges, and finally, we'll wrap up with the final answer. All right, let's dive right into section 1, what is aging? Defining the journey. So, when we talk about aging, we absolutely have to distinguish between two incredibly vital concepts, lifespan and health span. Lifespan is just the total number of years you live. Health span, on the other hand, is the number of those years you remain free of significant illness or disease. To paraphrase President John F. Kennedy, it's not enough to merely add new years to life. Our objective really must be to add new life to those years. Think about it. Spending your final 2 decades restricted to a hospital bed is a vastly different experience from spending them traveling or playing with your grandchildren. Health span is our main goal here. We want those later years to be active, healthy, and productive, not just prolonged. Moving on to section 2, why do our cells age? Zooming in to the microscopic. At the absolute core of cellular aging are these things called telomeres. Think of them kind of like the little plastic tips at the ends of your shoelaces. But instead of protecting a lace, they protect the ends of your chromosomes. Every single time a normal cell divides, those telomeres shorten just a tiny bit. Over time, just like a shoelace tip fraying and eventually breaking off, the telomeres get shorter and shorter until the cell simply can't divide safely anymore. Now, what happens when that biological shoelace frays a little too far? Well, it triggers a massive, alarming DNA damage response inside the cell. This dysfunction sparks a huge increase in reactive oxygen species, churning out toxic signals that actually fuels systemic chronic inflammation and other degenerative diseases. It's essentially a microscopic chain reaction that actively affects your entire body. And the physical toll of this whole process is honestly pretty stark. Just look at the crisp, really well-structured shape of healthy young fibroblast cells actively dividing. Now, compare that to the exhausted cells nearing the end of their life cycle. They're deformed, completely different, and totally stuck at their division limits. It's a dramatic, real-world visual representation of biological wear and tear. Those exhausted cells become what scientists call senescent cells. I actually prefer to call them zombie cells, because they turn off their capacity to divide, but they stubbornly refuse to die. It's almost like a microscopic zombie apocalypse happening inside your tissue. They just sit there, spewing out toxic inflammatory signals known as the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP. This zombie cell inflammation actively damages the healthy surrounding cells and accelerates age-related conditions like osteoarthritis, heart failure, and even cognitive decline. Which brings us to section 3. Can we slow aging today? Taking control of the clock. Look, while we can't pop a magic anti-aging pill just yet, science definitely shows us how we can slow the clock right now. The proven interventions are things you've probably heard before. Regular exercise to maintain muscle mass and heart health, managing your nutrition and calories to optimize cellular metabolism, and obviously avoiding toxins like smoking, which aggressively accelerates cellular damage. But you know what the most surprising element is? A recent study from Oregon Health and Science University found that getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep actually predicts longevity even better than diet or exercise. Sleep literally helps clear out cellular damage and regulates the epigenome of our stem cells. It is absolutely foundational to your health span. Another huge factor on that list is stress management. But get this, there are actually 2 kinds of stress we deal with. First, there's biological stress. In fact, it's a surprising reality that just the basic act of breathing and metabolizing oxygen creates metabolic stress and free radicals that damage our DNA over time. We literally can't avoid that. But we can manage the second kind, psychological stress. Research shows that chronic emotional exhaustion, like the deep, heavy stress felt by caregivers of Alzheimer's patients, physically shortens telomeres. It's a heartbreaking reality, but it really underscores how managing her mental state is quite literally protecting your DNA from unraveling. Let's shift gears to Section 4. Can we reverse aging? Exploring the future frontier. Researchers aren't just satisfied with slowing aging down. They literally want to reverse it. Right now, they're exploring ways to activate an enzyme called telomerase to physically rebuild our shortened telomeres. They're also developing senolytics, which are these highly specialized drugs designed to hunt down and assassinate those inflammatory zombie cells we talked about earlier. We're even seeing stem cells being used to regenerate damaged tissue, and researchers are utilizing CRISPR gene editing for epigenetic reprogramming. That's essentially trying to reset the biological clock backward without changing the underlying DNA sequence itself. It's basically science fiction turning into science fact. And this brings up a pretty wild question. Could humans ever become biologically immortal? Well, believe it or not, biological immortality already exists right inside you. Certain cells, like sperm and egg cells, naturally use that enzyme telomerase to restore their telomeres and safely divide infinitely. The catch? Unfortunately, cancer cells hijack this exact same biological trick to become immortal and multiply out of control. So the great scientific challenge of our time is figuring out how to safely harness this regenerative power for our healthy cells without accidentally promoting cancer. This leads us to Section 5, Societal and Ethical Challenges. The weight of a longer life. Let's pause and think about this for a second. If regenerative medicine drastically extends human life, our global structures are going to face unprecedented strain. We're looking at surging healthcare costs to manage brand new late-stage chronic conditions and massive pension burdens for retirement systems that were only ever designed to support people living to 75 or 80. We are facing a silver tsunami, a total demographic shift as the global population skews heavily toward the elderly. The financial and structural strain on our society is a massive weight that policymakers are already struggling to balance, and it's a reality we all have to plan for. And finally, Section 6, the final answer, grounding the science.
There are a ton of products out there claiming to be a fountain of youth, but here is the grounded scientific truth. So I leave you with this question to ponder. What steps will you take today to maximize your health span for tomorrow? Science is helping us understand and slow aspects of aging, but there's currently no proven way to stop it completely. The future is promising, but we're not there yet. And that's today's Just One Lesson.